Shalom and welcome to Practical Spirituality here in Asia Torah overlooking the Temple Mount. Today we're discussing a little part about Adam and Eve, and that's and it also brings up a lot of the male-female relationship stuff, and that's Adam listening to Eve when she said to eat from the fruit. Because obviously God said it's forbidden, Eve says eat, and he eats. What's up with that? Why'd he listen to her? Like, is a man supposed to listen to his wife? Now, we see the punishments say clearly not. First of all, we all know not because, well, we don't necessarily know not. We know not. We know not if it's God versus your wife. God versus your wife, you definitely listen to God. And we learned he listened to his wife, and you know, all hell broke loose after that. So it's clearly not the right thing to do to listen to his wife there. But we also know from the punishment, and the punishment was that he will rule over her. Vehu yimshal bach, and he will rule over her. Now, those are the words. Vehu, and he, meaning him, the husband. Yimshal, will rule, moshel, and that's pretty hardcore rulership. Bach, over you. He's going to rule over you. Now, showing you that you were ruling over him. You ruled over him, and he, what do you see on there? It's okay.
The Adam's first wife.
Oh.
It said it on there?
Yeah. Anyway, and we also know, speaking of Adam's first wife, was a woman named Lil, and Lil tried to dominate Adam, and Adam threw her off, literally, and wouldn't let her dominate him. And Kabbalistically, I mean, this is going to sound a little weird, but she, ever since then, feeds off of the seed of men, ever since then. And so the next time any man feels like he wants to be involved in any letting of seed, if we'll say it as clean as possible, he should know that perhaps Lil is hungry, and she's a demon, and ultimately you've heard of people who drive called the speed demon. She's the seed demon, and could be really Lil's behind all this. So that's pretty freaky to think about, because you're thinking you're following your own ideas, but really maybe Lil's giving you these ideas. Anyway, her name's Lil. That ended. Yeah.
Just a question: is that also the female Yetzirah? Is that tied into?
Not necessarily. No. This is its own.
Was she the one originally broken off from Adam?
No.
So it was. So then weren't the other
This
ones-
is Lil. She was someone else.
So weren't all the other women that existed didn't have that inside like Adam and Chava did? Because Adam technically was with other,
Creatures.
yeah. Until she
Let's go back to Adam listening to his wife. So we see that Adam's not. So here, Adam's in his second female challenge. He had his first female challenge from Lil. He passes. He has a second female challenge from Chava, from Eve, and he fails. And he eats from the fruit. Now, it was a really bad move. It wasn't the right thing to do. Ever since then, men have meaninglessness. Now, meaninglessness is the scourge of man. You know, we've discussed this before. Women are born with the ability to create, but they also have a huge instinct to support and to protect. Men, on the other hand, don't have that as strong. We have a desire a bit to conquer, but it scares us. And we always have meaninglessness kind of hanging around us. Because what is this? What is your bag of bones for exactly? It's hard to know. Now you would say, maybe you'd like to say like the woman, it's to make a family and all that stuff. Except most men would sooner die than sit at home with their family. You know, they want to get out there and they want to make that mark. Because men have this conquering ability, and that's what brings men the most meaning, is that they actually made a difference with their bag of bones, with their lives. They make a difference. So Adam is now listening to Eve, which is a lack of leadership here. It's just a lack of leadership, because the conqueror is the leader naturally, and she is meant to be his wife, and he's the king, and she's his queen, but he's the king, and here he let her be the king. And that's where meaningless is going to come from. So what's Adam's curse? Adam's curse is you got to go make money. You're going to have to go make money. See, you could have just hung out in the garden and just eaten the fruit right off the trees. But I'm going to turn the world into, thistles and thorns and thistles, it says. And you're going to have to go cut out all the thorns and thistles, and then you're going to have to break out the hard ground, and you're going to have to plant the seeds, and you're going to have to work. And you're going to have meaning out of that. That's going to be meaningful to man, is that he can go work, and he can break up the soil, and he can plant those seeds, and he can water them, and he can make that stuff grow, and he can come home to his wife who says, wow, look at what you brought home. And then she's suddenly attracted to him because he's clearly a person of leadership, that he was able to have the fortitude to leave the house and go bring back the bagels. And he comes back with the bagels, and she's now respecting him. And once a woman respects him, what does she also have? Attraction. Attraction and respect always precedes attraction. Woman doesn't respect her man, she's not going to be very attractive to him. So now she's got the respect, which is what her curse was, to be respecting him. And now she has her attraction to him. And he has meaning in life, all based on eating this fruit. Now, was it right to eat the fruit? No, it was a mistake. But what it did do is it set up thousands of years of roles to play. Think about it. That's the roles. Like, you're either going to play those roles and life goes well, or you're going to not play those roles and your wife's going to trade you in when you're about 45. Because that's what they do these days. Women are trading in their husbands. Their little crybaby, tutu little girl husbands, girly man husbands. And so, and they're getting like traded in, all the time. And because whatever, I'm not going to go there right now. So, anyway, but that's why he listened. He shouldn't have listened, but it did set up history. And that we have to learn into the curses that they got to understand our roles and not to mess with that. You don't want to mess around with that. So all these millennial feminists, I'm talking about the men right now, meaning the victims of the feminists, but all the millennial feminists are in major role reversal danger. Role reversal danger. Nobody wants that. That's super dangerous. And again, it crash and burns usually eventually. It's cute while you're in your 20s. Girls like the power. Boys want to be, these days boys just want to be little boys, and she should hold him while he cries. And then, but eventually she becomes a woman in her late 30s, smelling for a man, and there's none to be seen. No man to be found except for maybe some other man who's like, and they'll always go for some like cheese ball car mechanic or something. Like he's just like a total man, it's grease all over him. And like, here she had her, her nice executive husband, and now she just wants, a beach boy, big muscles, and, tough guy. So, anyway, but there is an interesting line in it, and that is that the Adam and Chava, when you look at the actual story, both Adam and Eve have a very interesting answer to God when he says, what happened? God just said, what happened? Of course, they didn't take responsibility. So, anyway, so she eats from the fruit, he eats from the fruit.
He blames it on her, and she lives in the sin.
And so what happened was, the man said, the woman whom you gave to me to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I ate. Which is like,
It's her fault.
yeah, like, and it's not just that she did it,
Actually,
it's
not weird.
your fault too. Like, that woman you gave me, this is your fault, God. Like, you gave me this lady, and I let her influence me, and okay, but it's a total role reversal problem. But here's the interesting word. The word says vo'ochel. It's the wrong word. It's supposed to say va'achalti. Va'achalti. The woman you gave, she gave me of the tree, and I ate. It's past tense. Va'achalti. How do you say and I ate? Ve'achalti. I ate. No, it doesn't say that. It says vo'ochel. You know what vo'ochel means? I will eat. meaning put me back in that situation, I'll eat it again. Pretty crazy thing to say. And then God said to the woman, what is this that you have done? The woman said, the serpent deceived me, and I ate. And when you look at the word there, it says, vatomer and va'ochel, and I will eat again. You know, give me the chance again, I'm eating. So that makes like, what? No, you ever heard that? You ever notice that? No one ever notices that because everyone's reading in English, and the English said, and I ate. But it doesn't say that in Hebrew. In Hebrew it says, I will eat. I'm going to keep eating. I like that tree. It's a good tree. So, which means we got to ask ourselves, what is the nature of this tree that they've now eaten from, that they were saying they would eat it again? What is that tree? Well, it's the tree of the knowledge of what? Good and evil. Well, what are good and evil? Good and evil are the ultimate paradigm, the ultimate, I don't know why this word always escapes me, not hierarchy, but archetype. It's the archetype. It's the paradigm, the theme of distinctions. When they lived in the garden, there was no distinction. I mean, yeah, maybe there was this tree and that tree, but you could see the letters of God's name in everything you saw. It was like spirituality and materiality in the same address. Everything was, everything was one. Everything was one. So now that sounds awesome. I think all of us would love that, but probably only for a couple hours.
But couldn't they differentiate their soul from their body in that state? Were they
in that state?
Yeah, to understand that.
They had no concept of their body.
They were
yeah, they didn't even know they were
yeah,
naked.
Yeah.
They had no concept of nakedness.
Right, okay.
And in fact, it says when they ate the fruit, their eyes were open, which is kind of interesting. Like, did you ever picture Adam and Eve in the garden going like this? Where are you? You know, like their eyes weren't open then. Why does it say that they ate from the fruit and their eyes were open? So they like,
consciousness switched from the soul.
They don't want to be in Godland 24/7. They were in Godland 24/7, which would be amazing. I mean, that's why you're ultimately listening to me right now, is you're hoping that maybe something I'll say or some other rabbi will say, or why do you come around anyway? Is that you deep down secretly want to go to Godland. And if you can't go to it here, you at least want to align yourself to go to it later. You know, you align yourself as much as possible, because how long are you going to live? Who knows? So at least I want to go to Godland after this world. So you are interested in Godland. They were in Godland and they lost interest, because here's a tree that offers distinction. Remember, it's the archetype of distinctions. Good and evil. I mean, good and evil are the ultimate black and white. I mean, that is distinction. But everything's distinguished. Once they eat from it, all of a sudden, soul and body get distinguished. There's soul, and then there's body, and then it's like, I'm naked. You know, like, what do I do? Because now soul and body got distinguished. Everything got distinguished.
What about the kids? Like, weren't some of their kids born already?
I don't think so. Were they? I don't think. It's still, they haven't even gotten through the first day. This is day 6 of creation. I don't think any kids were born yet.
I think literally 2 hours in. My brother had to wait 3 hours, and then they were good.
Yeah, apparently they only had to make it to Shabbos, which I don't understand enough about that. But meanwhile, they weren't so interested in Godland 24/7. Of course, they'd only been there for 2 hours. You'd think that'd been enough. I mean, that'd be, only the beginning of enjoying it. But
Well, 2 hours into our time can be that.
so that means we got to understand. So maybe I don't want to be in Godland full time. But 2 hours would have been fine, 3 hours fine. I mean, the truth is, I wouldn't mind going there for a week or two. I don't know if I want to stay there. I mean, any of you who've ever been in a real nirvana state, like a really high state, you're happy to be there. It's exciting. It's great. But there's a part of you that's like, I'll be excited. I'm running a Hebrew seminar now. I'll be excited also to get back to I'd just like to go pick up the paper outside my house and be normal for a couple hours too. I mean, I'd like to be in a world of choice. I'd like to be in a world of distinction as well. And it augments or excites and causes more distinction of the godly state that some people can meditate their way into or take some other mushroom or something. But that godly state is only exciting in as much as you have a non-state like that gives it meaning. What I'm trying to say is we like the world of distinction. We don't want to live in Godland. And now when we die, we'll be in Godland, but then we don't have a body, so we won't have as many complaints. But having a body in this kind of realm, in Godland, is just like... And the truth is, if we were truly in Godland, in these bodies of ours, we'd all die in this room. You know why? Because we wouldn't eat. And someone would be like, you guys must eat. And we're just like, it's just so material. It's so physical. It's so gashmias. We're not eating. And they're like, you have about 10 minutes left before you die. We're like, we're already mostly dead. And where are we going anyway when we die? Anyway, we're going to Godland. We're already in Godland. We'll take death, please. Death, please? So, anyway, so Godland is not so great. So then, but why couldn't they handle it for a couple of hours? And so then we got to talk about the serpent. We have to discuss the serpent because the serpent's the one who messed everything up here. The serpent's the one who got Eve to eat. So the serpent is what? What is that serpent? So the serpent is a representative of the dark side. Now, it is not the Yetzer Hara. It's important to know that.
The body itself was the bodily desire was the Yetzer Hara?
Yeah, you could say their desire to listen to the serpent might have been the Yetzer Hara, but the serpent itself is the dark side, and the dark side is not the Yetzer Hara. The dark side was created for there to be free will, to balance the system. Now, it has a messenger. The dark side has its messengers. Its messengers we could call our Yetzer Hara. Your Yetzer Hara is a messenger from the dark side. Not that you should ever do anything the Yetzer Hara says, but it does give you reward. By choosing not what the Yetzer Hara says, you are now in a position to be rewarded as a result. So the dark side is the dark side. So here's the serpent, except Adam and Eve have no experience with the dark side. You need muscles to deal with the Yetzer Hara.
But isn't
that's why
the snake not the Yetzer Hara?
It's not the Yetzer.
But that's why you didn't go to us.
They might call it once in a while, but it's really it is the dark side. The snake represents the dark
At the
side.
end of the day, doesn't all evil stem from the same place in the darkness, which is the concealment of light? Like, isn't that all the same? And then there's just
It's just
divides
the
up
far
into-
extremity from the light.
Right. So the darkest point, which is technically the Yetzer Hara, we'll call it the dark side.
Right, but listen to this. The serpent, which is the dark side, is now messing with people who are in Godland.
We went to the weakest link. Chava didn't know. Only
Yeah, well, there's no good and evil here. They haven't eaten from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And now here's this, like, bar cat. You know, he's really like a bar cat. He's upright because we know he was cursed to go in his belly, so he must be walking. He knows how to talk because he's talking and seducing Eve. And he likes women. So, sounds like a guy you meet in a pub to me. You know, he's ultimately a slime ball womanizer in a pub. And without the pub part. So, and he's approaching Eve who ain't got a chance. That's why I don't discuss much about free will with Adam and Eve, because really God...
They didn't have any differentiation.
Yeah, they didn't have that distinction.
Right.
So, yeah, God said not to do it, but what is that supposed to mean? What does yes this and not that mean when there's no good and evil and I have no knowledge of good and evil and I don't understand distinctions? And here's this seemingly friendly, you know, although slightly drunk man who's, you know, very interested in you and has said, eat this fruit, and you have no concept of evil. I mean, isn't this the whole problem of naive girls? You know, jogging by with their headphones on and no awareness whatsoever who's watching and what kind of predator could be there. And, you know, she's just jogging by in her little jogging suit in the university. And there's, you know, some freaky serial, you know, sexual assault guy is just watching her jog by, and like, she's just naive. She doesn't understand the dark side. She's just come from some preppy high school, you know, and she's been coddled and protected from all evil, and she's just totally out to lunch, this girl. So that's kind of Eve in this situation. She doesn't know how to deal with the serpent. She doesn't have the tools for this. She hasn't flexed those muscles Yetzer Tov and Yetzer Hara because she doesn't have any concept of such things, which is hard for us to even understand, which is another reason why not to discuss Adam and Eve regarding free will, because they don't really have much free will. Yeah.
So didn't God set them up for failure technically, but all the factors had to exist in order for the world to spiral into where it
Yeah, you can only have the world go into where it went with this
With that
failure.
specific-
They had to fail.
Yeah, they had to fail.
They were born to fail.
Yeah.
And but there is another question, and that is Eve. She now knows good and evil. Don't give him the fruit. So she's the only one truly busted in the situation, not for having eaten, but for having fed him. So like God really nails her on this, and because she now knows the difference good and evil, and she's choosing evil, and she's going to influence her husband, which is like women who are built to protect. She does not protect him. She trashes him, which is really pretty freaky that Eve goes to trash the guy. And it is interesting that one of her curses was birth pangs, was that she can only bear children in pain, which is just kind of an interesting penalty for that. Because she knew what evil was. She's gonna now do evil. That's her first move. Like, here's good and evil. I'll go for evil and feed my husband this fruit, because now I know the difference in good and evil. So I'm just gonna do evil. Now, that kind of person, a person who just does evil, is not the kind of person who has children. You know, like most serial killers are not like fathers of 5. You know.
Because someone who's supposed to protect is now going to be reminded what you're protecting is.
Oh yeah, once women are like, well, just the fact that they give birth and the whole birth experience, and that they're the one who gives birth. Man doesn't give birth; she gives birth, and now she's going to protect what she went through. I mean, she went through hell for this, and that's going to build in a certain level of like, well, I don't want to have gone through hell for nothing, so I'm going to protect this thing. So women are born protectors. They're built to protect. They're going to protect their pregnancy. They're going to protect their bellies. They're going to, and then they're going to protect the baby. And we're human beings are, I think, of the longest species that needs its caretakers of any other species. I think we're the longest by like years. Meaning we really need a few years of parents before we're going to be on our own. Whereas horses, they're born, and then like a couple minutes later they're kind of up. They get up on their feet, and then they're just running around. We're not like that. We need her protecting us during those times. And so the woman who did not protect her husband and willfully did that, meaning she blew it big time. So one of her jobs will be pain it in birth. She's going to go through hell through that process, and then be the protector of the baby she went through hell for. So, and not to mention she's going to have to risk her life whenever she has a child. So that's one of the reasons we thank God for not having made us a woman, because there's nothing in your anatomy, gentlemen, that's life-threatening. You understand? Whereas a woman's born with her, if she uses her anatomy as it was built to be used, she's going to be having to risk her life, and maybe multiple times. And the chance of dying in childbirth historically was very high. In certain times extremely high, and most times high. And only in recent history it's gotten much lower, but you still hear cases where a woman dies in childbirth, God forbid. And so we thank God. I mean, there's various reasons why it says that, why we thank God for not having made us a woman, but that's one of the biggies. Is we don't have anything built in that's life-threatening, whereas women have a built-in life-threatening thing. By the way, just on that subject, is their life-threatening, that life-threatening aspect of childbirth is I'm sorry, not just the childbirth and the caretaking all that caretaking is also hinting at the role they're playing in the marriage. Whereas the husband's out, work in the field, and she's in the house protecting the flock. And that's the way it's built to be. That's the way history is supposed to be. But because of birth control and everything that happened in the 60s, sexual revolution, all that, women's liberation, feminism, and all that. So the women had their first chance to play this card, in the poker game of playing the man card. Like, women never were able to play the man card, just because their very anatomy created a situation where they will be automatically in charge of protecting the flock, and so with the modernity, suddenly there was an option of playing the man card, and so they've been playing that man card, and it's obviously, anytime you're going to go against the nature of creation, you're gonna pay that. We're all gonna pay for that. The society will pay for that in a big way. And all that, just on a Jewish sense, because we've talked a lot about the Parsha, but we haven't talked much about Judaism, is that Judaism, meaning living traditional Jewish values and living in a family where the woman is the protector of the flock and the man is going out to bring home the bagels, it's a bit of an island in a stormy sea, meaning all the price that everyone's paying for this generation of millennials, the post-feminist world we live in, the price they're paying, we're not paying. We're just not paying that price. I mean, you may be wearing tight pants and booties and purple socks. Like, you may be paying a bit, but if you're in this class and you're in Jerusalem, you're in a yeshiva, like, you do have a chance to jump out of that hell and go to heaven. Meaning you have a chance to get out of there and attach yourselves to a world. You understand, Peter? There's like a serious opportunity here to get out of there and attach yourself to, a full Torah community value system.
But what happens to everyone else?
Them? You reach your hand out. Anyone's and what do you do when you're living in the forest? When trains were moving to Auschwitz, and you can hear the tracks, you can hear the trains going by, and you're in the forest, you're a partisan. So you're hiding in the forest. And what do? So I know what I would do. I would spend some of the hours of the day on the forest near the tracks, so that if I could see someone putting their hand out, I would pull them out of the train. Like, if I could just, if I see the train stopped for a reason or another, find a place where it stops normally, like it normally stops there for 10 minutes. So I would do my best to pull people out. But I would not go stand in front of the train and get killed, So I'm not going to be part of their society and get killed, or have my kids get nailed by that. On the other hand, I'm not going to... on the other hand, I am going to pull anyone out. I will pull them from the train when the train stops. And so what am I doing with you right now, if not pulling you out? You're clearly reaching out your hand, and we're clearly giving you time and resources. But you won't see anyone in this building who's giving you time and resources. You're not going to see them, this evening doing anything but going home to their observant community and bouncing their kids on their knees, telling probably next to no stories of what they heard and spoke about while talking to kids in the lobby. You understand, they're going back to the protection of a generation that's like it's a unique time capsule of sanity. And the only sad part is, Peter, that if you or Nathaniel or Mayor, she's already bought into this whole thing. But the only sad part about all this is if you do feel like you're winning the lottery and want to join the last sane, traditional value place, as a Jew at least. I mean, I'm sure there's some Mormon cult somewhere in Utah where you can like, you know, just show up and live the rest of your life there with like 5 wives and with funky hairdos. So I'm sure that's available, but I'm just saying if you want to honor the fact that you're from our tradition, you're from the prophetic tribes. So if you're from the prophecy tribes, the only hard part about that, the bad news is, good luck integrating into that world, because this world's not known for its integration itself. It doesn't integrate well, and you integrating into there is also questionable, and you're almost like an imposter by nature, and
Which world?
the very observant Torah world, and and lastly is it's kind of a progression resistant, progress resistant. It's progress resistant, you know, like they're not into progress. They're into holding on to things, and whereas to you 3 guys, there's no conflict between Torah, mitzvahs, and connection to God and progress. They can all be together. That's fine. But you're talking about joining a society that is phobic of any progress whatsoever. I mean, I'm like, I have a business, so I'm working my business, and I'm dealing with clients, and I just processed like 10 clients in 10 minutes using WhatsApp. And then here comes a guy with like the face and the hat and everything, and he's just like the other clients. I mean, it's his turn. So now I'm with him. A half hour later, we're still together. And I'm like I just processed 10 people in 10 minutes, and this guy's a half hour of work because he doesn't have WhatsApp. And therefore, we're gonna be doing everything, I guess, on paper, and and by the time we got some paper and we got the pen, and then I started writing out stuff that I wrote 10 years ago. That's just
what process?
whatever it is. I mean, it doesn't matter. But the point is that it's really not into progress. It believes even that technology is a conflict with things. Not like the Amish who like won't use cars. They'll use cars, but. Although there's one really OCD guy who lives in America whose child got engaged to someone who lives in the country, and no one knows this. I know it, but he walked. He walked. No, he's OCD. It was more because of the OCD aspect, but he just doesn't get in cars, and no one knows it. The only one who knows it is his wife and children, and they were sworn to secrecy. Yeah. What?
Horse and buggy is pretty old-fashioned.
He walked. It was winter.
How long did it take him?
It took him, I don't know. I mean, the drive itself into the country is an hour and a half at 70 miles per hour.
For months.
I'm not mentioning his name, so no one's indicated here, but
Okay.
but anyway, how long would it take to walk an hour and a half drive at 70 miles per hour?
2-3-hour drive. That'll take at least 7 hours. At least.
I think they said it took 10, something like that.
Yeah.
You had to walk back. Anyway, yeah. So, anyway, but how do you integrate? So then you might say, well, maybe I should do something a little more modern Orthodox. But what do you want to be half? You want to be half part of a world that's like, like literally crashing and burning. Like, oh, I just want a little of that for my children. We'll take a little crash and burn, please. Let's go for some crash and burn. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. It's like none of this is good news. You don't have much like. What are you supposed to do here? You got a place where you almost can't integrate, but you could. You'll do your best. And this is why I like being Hasidic, because Hasidic is like, there's only a few groups that Bali Tshuva should be part of anyway, And I did not choose one of them. I'm part of like this like Hasidic sect in Mea Shearim, you know, like, I don't know, I must have bumped my head that day and like went temporarily insane. But you always have Chabad, but you do have these big communities called Chabad and Breslov, which, you know, they have their own issues, but at least they're integration friendly for people who are coming from afar. You know, they at least are integration friendly. That's good. Oh, by the way, there are little micro groups. Like, you know, I keep talking about my Kabbalist, who I go to on Thursday nights. His group is Bali Tshuva. All the people around him are Bali Tshuva, and there's only about a dozen of them. And so there are micro groups where you don't have to be a Chabadnik, you don't have to be a Breslover. But you actually can be a normal Hasidic man, part of a micro group, and that's pretty cool. I mean,
So why wouldn't everyone just like that?
join the micro groups.
Yeah.
Micro groups
No
are
judgments.
generally led by pretty eccentric, extreme people like you and you. I don't know Peter well enough, but probably like you too. So, you know, it's just not. It's not a popular choice. It's a choice for people who like are kind of live on the edge types, because the Rebbes themselves are very on the edge people. You know, like extreme meditators, like.
So why would, but I feel like that'd be perfect for someone like you as well.
Well, that's where I am.
Oh, good.
That's right. Oh, my family's part of the sect, but I have a one teacher for now 24 years, where that's my teacher. You know, all these years, and the Karliner Rebbe knows that.
Right.
You know, he's very happy. He's expressed to me several times. He's like, Yom Tov, you're just too complicated for me. Your questions go to him. And so I don't ask him anything. He told me straight out, like, stop asking me questions. Like I get the community raised in Mea Shearim. Okay, I do not get you. And but I've always been guided. I just randomly asked him things once in a while because he was there, and like we just finished davening and we're you know having a little schnapps together or something. And I'll ask him a question. He's just like, don't ask me. Okay, so anyway, so we handled quite a bit of this discussion, and just to tell you one more thing about, because we didn't really nail the "and I will eat." I mean, if you gave me another chance, I'd do it again. So why did they say that? And the answer for why they said that. What did it say there?
Well, I don't know what it says, but I figure it's because, you know, we will also like eat. You know, the descendants and generations to come.
Okay. Well, we spoke a bit about it in that we don't really like Godland so much, so like we like that kind of level of free will. We want to live in a world of distinction.
From the moment he ate the fruit, then like when they ate the fruit, they realized that we're going to be eating from the fruit for generations to come.
Yeah.
So therefore, like we're paying for their mistakes, and that's why I say I'm constantly eating it.
That's nice too. I never heard that said, but that's pretty powerful. Is that not only did we eat it, but we're gonna be eating this stuff forever, like till the end, till we get to either 6,000 years or a third temple. You know, we will be eating from the fruit of distinctions. But there's another answer, which is a clear answer, and that's and I think we could have derived it earlier. Is just that that now there's a chance for reward. Meaning now there's a chance for life to have true choice to have meaning. Choice has much more meaning when there's two choices. When there's no choices, you know, like it's like kibbutzniks, you know, there's just not a lot of choice there. You know, that's what you do. You work, you pick potatoes, and then you go to the dining hall for breakfast, and then you go back and you pick potatoes, and it's like, for some people, you know, that's perfect, but for other people, it's just like, I need more choices in my life. You know, Russians, you imagine going to the market and it's like sugar, oil, bread, eggs, you know, okay, eggs, it's just gonna be eggs, but, you know, milk, it just says milk on it. Yeah, I mean, would you like that? You like to go to market like that? I mean, it's just not. It's just weird, you know? It's just kind of weird. So nobody wants that, and we want choice, and we want to take that risk into the chaos of a choice that we don't know what's going to happen, and either fail miserably or succeed beautifully, and we want that world for ourselves. That's just what we want. And so Zil, that's it, man. We ate, we're gonna eat. Yeah, because that's something. Now, by the way, if they had done some other sin that was like some heinous sin, I doubt they were going to say, we're going to do it again. I think it was very specifically like, we want choice. We want to live in a world of free will. We want all the parameters of what could be done right and what could be done wrong. And we want the reward that comes from doing right. And we want to feel the feeling of being in that position of choosing. So I don't think other sins, it's not like you could do something really stupid and God's like, what the hell did you do? And you're like, not only did I do it, I'm going to do it again. Like no one's going to talk that way to God. But with the tree of life, the tree of knowledge of good and evil, that's like, yeah, we ate and we're going to eat again. And we want to sense our autonomy. Which we didn't mention, but we want to sense autonomy in our lives. And part of autonomy is your ability to choose. I mean, isn't that autonomy? If someone's telling you what to do you have autonomy? No. But if someone says, listen, I'm telling you what's good for you, and I'm also showing you what's not good for you, well, then they're giving you the autonomy to make that choice. Yeah, Mayor.
And okay, I'll just go back to question 2 before.
This is going to be the last one because I got to run.
For sure. Just to understand the last part, why did Eve make that final decision?
Why did Eve make that final decision?
Yeah, to give it the fruit to Adam. What was the?
Why did she do it?
Yeah, why did she do it?
I'll come sit with you guys for a second. So, I actually, I have to speak louder now, but I actually have no idea. I have no idea why she did it.
Yeah.
But there's only 2 people around now. Okay, three. There's a snake.
Right.
There's only really 2 people around, and you're now in the mud, and now someone else is not. So misery loves company. That's the famous line, and it could be that's what pushed her, because they're now. It's just taking someone down. Like if someone's in a situation, maybe it was the first jealousy. Here he is flying around in Godland.
Right.
She's no longer in that realm, and she's now dealing with all the feelings that came with it, which was heavy duty feelings.
Alone.
So, but she's also, she's alone now. She's alone.
Right.
And what's interesting about that, which is kind of interesting about women, is that you'll see when you're married, you'll have stuff you got to do, but you got to do it. And your job is to go out and do stuff. That's what you're here for. You got to go do stuff and then bring home the bagels, right? She doesn't care. She doesn't care. She's in moods sometimes. We're like, I don't care. Just come home. And you're like, that's nice. Except there's a room full of men in China right now, all sitting around a table, waiting for me to call right now and let them know what's going to be going on for the next half a year. And they all flew in for this meeting. And I'm either showing up on a video screen and letting them know that for the meeting they all flew into, or I'll be coming home. And she's like, come home. So there is a point I guess in a woman that's just come down from there. Come down from there. It's very healthy for us in one way, because it's humbling. Come down from come down Mr. CEO, or come down Mr. Charismatic Rabbi, why don't you spend Shabbos at home without all your students for guests, and then just sit with the family, Mr. Rockstar Rabbi, You know, so there's a part of our lives that just don't buy it. They don't buy into it. They don't buy our thing. So here he is, like floating in outer space. She's totally been dropped down to.
But she could
earth.
still see him because he's in both. I got you.
Yeah, and she's just like, just come down to me. Don't know, but I don't know the answer.
So that would also seem that Godland is right here.
Godland?
Yeah, Godland's right here. It's just in a different.
I don't know what I just
It's not switching.
The Godland is.
Is Godland right here?
I don't know. Do you see it in the video?
Godland's not right here, but.
No, but like.
It's not right here, but our job as spiritual beings is to approach a balance between body and soul. That's like really on that, you know, you're just, and you can sense it right now if you just kind of breathe for a second. That like you sense you got a body for sure, but there's a you sensing it, which is clearly not physical.
Right.
And you want to be right in the balance of those. You want to stay right in the pocket of that balance, and body and soul balance. That's the goal. And to go totally out is possible. You know, I have various portals. There's various doorways out, but I think the balance is the key.
Can you venture out every once in a while?
Of course, you can.
But I'm saying, is according to Judaism, we're allowed to?
Venture out? Yeah, for sure. A lot of Kabbalists venture out. Okay, everybody.
Now, do you understand?
Shalom. It was a pleasure as usual.